First of all, I would like to stand corrected. My name is Ponnuraj, not Ponnuraju. I hail from a small little village in Coimbatore district of Tamil Nadu state. I started my school education in the primary school run by government, and then it came up all the way to one of the prestigious colleges in agricultural field, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Coimbatore campus, where I finished my BSc Agriculture. Then went on to New Delhi, the National Institute, Premier Institute of Agricultural Research, Indian Agricultural Research Institute for my MSc Agricultural Economics. Then I also spent about 2 years in PhD, but I couldn't complete that. Since I got into YAS, I had to leave that. But when I was about to join Indian Administrative Service, I had 3 or 4 other options on my hand. I had qualified as a first ranker in Agricultural Research Service in the field of Agricultural Economics, and I had qualified in Indian Economic Service, which is again conducted by UPSC, and I was also called for interview in NABARD as a senior manager. So I had some 3 or 4 options before me to choose, and finally I landed up here. Thank you.
And from here we go on to the self-introduction of Madam Hemalatha, please, the Chief Executive Officer of Udupi Jilla Panchayat. Please, Madam.
Good morning, everybody. I am Hemalatha. I come from again Tamil Nadu. I'll just make a contrast between Mr. Ponnuraj and myself. He's my husband, so I can tell a little bit of that also. Now, he comes from a rural background, but I am from a city background, and I come from Madurai. Of course, I've done my schooling in various, I've been changing schools quite often because of my father's job, and I've done my BA in sociology. And after that, I wrote the exam, I got into it. So, nothing else from the academic side. There are just 2 issues here which I would like to contrast between my husband and myself. One is he's from a rural background, how he got into the service. And me, I come from a city background and how I got to the service. Like, this will be of interest to you to focus. So that's one thing I want to tell. And second one is like, I think in the course of discussion we'll go ahead. He did not undergo any kind of training to get into the service, whereas I did a little bit of training at Delhi for getting into the civil services exam. Anything else, like as and when the question crops up, maybe I'll be able to tell more about it.
Thank you very much. You revealed a great truth before all of us, Madam, that you are couples, the great wedded couples, and Ponnuraj and then Hemalatha are couples, both IAS officers. But a big question that is to be posed before you is that, as couples shouldering this big responsibility to the district, how is that you are able to manage the home affairs? You may please sit down and answer, both of you please. Home affairs, it's very difficult. All kinds of problems are around you. How you are managing it, husband and wife?
In a way, we are lucky that either my parents or her parents are always around to take care of the home affairs.
Now, home affairs here mainly means my kid. I mean, otherwise, like whatever we discuss, it's we find our time because like I am CEO and he's DC. So we anyway travel together and all that. So as a husband and wife, it's entirely different. But for the kid to be maintained, like either my parent or his parents take care basically. And being in Udupi district helps because like it's not like you work till 10, 11 in rest of the districts. So that helps.
And the panel is always ready with questions. Any questions you can shoot, and the public also, any question you can shoot at any time. Raise your hands, that's all.
The question is to Dr. Ponnuraj. Sir, with your science background, what enamored you to go for administrative line?
As I told you that when we were in BSc Agriculture, towards end of 3rd year, we were all told that 100% you are not going to get a government job out of your degree. Otherwise, till we joined our colleges, all our seniors used to get direct placement as and when they complete graduation. So there were two or three options which are thrown before us by one of our teachers there, who taught us English there in the college, was our English professor. He told us that you will have to choose mainly three lines. Either you go abroad for higher studies in the same field, or you go into the management line. For that you need to prepare for GMAT and all. Then the other line was civil services. So this was there. So I was always interested in application of science into the day-to-day life. Later on, I grew myself into economics. I did my agricultural economics in MSc and also did MSc, PhD in agricultural economics only. Then finally, I wrote with economics. So I completely converted myself into a man from agricultural background to economics background.
One moment, I would like to intervene at this level. Having specialized in such the queen subject, we call it in the social sciences, don't you regret having come to this particular field? Is it possible that had you continued that in that particular field, would you have been more useful to the country?
I would just like to quote one of my teachers in, again, undergraduation, who used to tell that whatever the technologies we produce or whatever the technology we invent in the field of agriculture, unless otherwise it is applied in the field, it might not be of any use at all. But for that, you need to have somebody with proper background and at right time, at right place, so that the things are brought to its proper use. So he was mentioning about dryland agriculture, how India can only benefit out of dryland agriculture, not the erstwhile green revolution which we have so far benefited from. So I think I'll be of more use in this field than in continuing in agriculture field.
The students, please. Yeah.
How far you have been successful in implementing your agriculture ideas right now as an administrator?
So far, not at all. But the time is, that's what my professor mentioned, that you need to wait for right time and also right place. This is not the place. This is not the time also. I'll have to wait some more time to become maybe additional secretary agriculture or secretary agriculture, so that the things can, we can make a difference there. Because ultimately it depends upon the policy which government decides. The policy is prepared by the bureaucrats and finally passed by the legislators. So I think I'll have to wait for that.
Sir, my question is related to GATS agreement, WTO agreement. Recently there was an international convention wherein our Kalpana Rai, the Commerce Industry Minister, represented our country. What reasons would you attribute for the failure of talks in the international scenario as a agriculture graduate?
In fact, when we talk about GATT, the subsequent WTO regimes, they all advocate free trade, free and fair trade among all the nations. Free in the sense there are no restrictions either in quantitative terms or in other policy terms. However, the foreign countries, the countries in Europe and also USA, to a large extent Australia and Japan also, they practice lot of quantitative barriers, and also they go for cross subsidization. So what they do is that what they don't speak. So it is that they practice unfair trade and unfree trade. They want all the developing countries to play to their tunes. So the failure in WTO talks is not a surprise at all, because the sheer number of developing countries resisting it is to an extent is very much expected. And also the thing is that the developed countries want to impose the terms which is beneficial to them on the developing countries, which they will ultimately succeed also.